That's what we're here for, right? To establish and build that foundation and friendship with Jesus, that relationship.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. Welcome to another podcast of the Kid Men Tackle Box podcast. And this is the podcast where we are helping you, if you are working with kids, if you are in ministry, if you're a children's pastor, if you're a Sunday school teacher, whatever your role is in children's ministry, we want to help you. And one of the ways that we do it is with this podcast. And today, I have a very special guest. She was on our last podcast. And in that podcast, we were talking about pastoring littles and the preschool, pre-kindergarten, down to nursery. And today I have Martha Maxwell with me. She is the owner of New Horizons Christian Academy. And she is a preschool and pre-kindergarten expert. And we're here to do kind of a deep dive into classroom management and ministering to kids. So, Martha, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
I am too. I really am. One of the things that, in my experience, has always been a difficult thing has been crowd control or working with a large group of kids, or even just 5 kids, if you don't understand how to do that and how to wrangle them, for lack of a better term, at their age group. And so that's what we're here today. One of the things we're here today to talk about is classroom dynamics. And so one of the first questions I'd like to ask you is, do you have any tips for us that can help us do that?
I do. You really need to think about the fundamentals of your classroom, which means, have you set your expectation with the children?
Okay.
Have you established a routine? And are there visual aids and cues? Are your aides, your volunteers, well trained in what the classroom expectations are? If you don't set those standards first, you're setting yourself up to fail. So that when your children first arrive, they know what to do. Children have an innate need to feel safe.
Right.
And the first goal of any teacher is to set that trust. Without that, the children are going to be fearful. They're not going to know what to expect. They're not going to know what to do next. And when they have that confidence, your classroom will manage itself.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to be just running around doing just classroom control, when really you should be able to engage with the children, take a step back and watch the magic happen.
So when you say set expectations, how do you do that? What's the mechanics of that?
Ideally, you want all of your adult volunteers or your aides, your teachers, to all be on the same page so that the same verbiage is being used and the same positive reinforcements being used. So rather than say the negative form of something like, you're too loud, or stop talking, or stop running, you're going to use phrases consistently that sound like, please use your indoor voice, walking feet, crisscross applesauce, your feet stay on the floor, scissors stay at the table, instead of, you're running with those scissors, stop.
Right.
So always using the positive form of what you need done, and then and praising when it's done well. And I try not to say good job too much, like, oh, good job. Children expect to hear that.
Right.
Instead of, Timmy, I really like how you're sitting at carpet time. I really thank you for sitting so nicely. Thank you for waiting.
I noticed that when we were doing the video, that you gave really specific compliments. Like, I think it was, my friend, look how well you wrote your name, was one of them, I remember. And so that really caught my attention, was that specific, and not just a general, good job.
Yeah. It's lost its meaning, and children are expecting to hear good job.
Right.
And they're kind of, they don't pay attention to it anymore. But when you're saying, I love how you are waiting so patiently for me, because I know that's hard to do. Thank you for waiting. You're taking the time, you're maybe putting your hand on their shoulder, really connecting, because as you know, connections are everything.
Right.
And so we really want to build those trust connections, especially with young children, those 3-year-olds coming through the door on Sunday or even for preschool the first time. That's their first time away from their parents for an extended period of time.
Sure.
If they don't feel safe, they're not going to do well. And so you want to get down on their level. You want to be eye to eye. You want to ask if you can, is it okay if I touch your shoulder? Is that okay? Because a lot of children might not want that touch, and you
Yeah.
need to be respectful of their boundaries. And
We know more about sensory kids.
Absolutely.
And that touch could
Yeah.
really set them off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you really want to be respectful of their needs and communicate with them. Just talk. If you really want to get interested, you can ask their parents ahead of time, what does little Timmy love to do for free time? What is he into? And if it's Legos, or make sure that's out. So that
Right.
can be a really great way to get Timmy through the door. If it's Play-Doh, and little Sally loves Play-Doh and she's having a hard time separating, you can maybe bring the table to the door and entice her towards the table.
Sure.
Little things like that. But
That's a good segue to a question I had here, which was, how do you get a fearful child to settle into the classroom?
so the first thing is talking to the parents. So consistency, I will say, you'll probably hear me say consistency and routine and expectations a lot this meeting. Talking to the parents, having them hype up what's going to happen. Oh, I'm so excited for you. You're going to have a wonderful day today, and I will see you, and then give a specific when I will see you. So
Right.
talk to the teacher, have that communication. So mommy and daddy will pick you up after bubbles or after snack, so that they know, because time is irrelevant to a 3-year-old,
Sure,
right?
you
So
can't say in an hour.
you can't say in an hour, and you definitely cannot say, I'll see you later.
Oh,
That
right,
is
'cause that's never.
when is later?
Yeah, when is later?
So,
I hate that.
Yeah, mommy will see you right after bubble time. Mommy will see you right after snack time. I will be right at that door, and they can trust that, and they will know now the next time. Oh, mommy will be here in any minute now because it's right after bubbles, and they'll get excited about that, and they'll feel safe and confident when they know what to expect.
Sure.
So, chances are, if you have an unruly classroom, it's because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to expect.
So you're not setting kids down in a group and saying, okay, here are my expectations for this
Right.
class.
No, you're modeling the behavior. And
Right.
so, for example, if you have, let's just say, a cabinet and it has all of the goodies in there, there's Legos and there's blocks and there's magnets and there's just all kinds of fun stuff for them to build. You wouldn't necessarily just have a free-for-all. You would go to the center and kneel down with them. You're at their eye level. They're listening to you. Maybe it's a small group of 10, or maybe it's even a group of 20 of different ages. You want to model how to play with them, how to knock them down even. If you've built it, you get to knock it down.
Right.
You're also responsible then for putting it away, and this is how we clean up. And don't have everything out at once. Maybe introduce just the blocks or just the magnets, and the next week you'll have 2 more items on there. You'll rotate them. If you have 10 objects out, those 10 objects will be on the floor. And 3 and 4-year-olds are great dumpers.
Right.
They need that for their development. They love to dump. Well, give them something they can dump. Maybe have a bin that has water and or beans and rice and measuring cups. Know that that's what that is developmentally appropriate for them. Otherwise, they're going to go right to that Lego bin and they're going to dump it out, and then you're going to be like, "Oh, what a mess! What are you doing?" It's not their fault. That's what they do,
Right.
and you've set yourself up for that. So just know your children, know what is developmentally appropriate, and that a lot of that comes with teachers having the right skill set for the job. So, and if you're coming in with volunteers or aides that don't know preschool children, you need to establish that in training. So
And-
that's fundamental.
Absolutely. And that's why we're doing this right now, is so that we can, hopefully the children's pastors can use this as a resource when they are training their assistants and teachers. You talked about developing rapport with the kids. Let's discuss
Yeah.
that more.
So that lets a child know, oh, my teacher cares about me. You remember that I had a basketball game on Sunday, and a week later, I come in and you're like, hey, how'd that basketball game go?
Right.
I could be like, hey, Brett, I noticed you got new glasses. Hey, those look really great on you. That would mean I noticed that you got new glasses. I cared enough to ask about them. And in some way, that that's meaningful and that I care. And it's going to open up the door to more conversation.
So hand in hand with that is you got to know their names.
You have to
And
know
really-
their names. Twins are tricky, and there's quite a few here.
I have twin granddaughters, and that is
Yeah,
tricky. It
yeah.
really is.
And if you don't know, ask a seasoned teacher or a seasoned veteran assistant that has been there for a while who can say, that's Molly and that's Jake, or that's but you really don't want to mess up a name.
Right. Names are one of the hardest things for me, and I've in the past have made it a game with the kids, and to where I'm like, because one of my things is I want to say everybody's name at least once in a positive way every time I'm with them, but I do have this thing where I can't remember where it's hard, and so I've just made a game of calling them a completely wrong name. And they're like, that's not my name.
You can totally make a game of it.
Yeah. So,
and if you're really in a pinch, you can say, "Hello, friend. I love your blue shoes today."
Right.
Yeah.
I do love the name tags being right up. But with a lot of the smaller kids, it's on the back.
Yeah.
So
you're like, "What's that over there?" You hope they turn around.
how else can we really demonstrate the love of God to them and
So predominantly that's what we're here for, right? To establish and build that foundation and friendship with Jesus, that relationship.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You model it. You pray with the children. You talk to Jesus as he's your friend. And you even would say maybe, "Hey, I saw how you shared your snack when, Timmy dropped his snack and you gave him some of yours."
right.
And then you can even say, "Can I read a Bible story to you about sharing?" Or just, how do you think Jesus feels about that? I bet Jesus is so happy that you shared your snack. And just reinforce that good feeling, because really you want them to have a good connection, that warm feeling between church and their experience here in Sunday school, and then their relationship with Jesus. It's all going to come together.
And those memories can last a lifetime.
They sure
literally
can. Yeah.
I remember one of my earliest memories of church was in a classroom with my grandmother, and she was teaching us a song, and I still remember the song. That is kind of one of those core memories, and so we never know what is going to be one of those core memories for a kid. And so we always need to be expressing God's love to them.
Absolutely. And you mentioned music, and when you're using music as a teaching tool, both sides of the brain are involved.
Right.
And so, and it's easy to establish core memories with music. And here, you use whole body learning.
Right.
So the kids are seeing the Ollie videos, they're dancing to the videos prior to, and then they're using their whole body for the memory verse. It's genius. So they're getting the whole experience.
They're going whole body, and we're dancing and everything. And now we need to stop and say, hey, it's time to do the story.
Yep.
So how we transition?
Easy peasy mac and cheesy. It's one of my favorites. So the kids are on their feet. They've just done the whole body thing, but you need their attention again.
Right.
So how do you do that?
Yeah.
2 little hands go clap, clap, clap. 2 little feet go tap, tap, tap. 1 little body turns around and sits very quietly on the ground.
Oh, I love that.
And as your voice gets softer, they have to really be quiet so that they can hear what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And you're mimicking the motions. They're following. I mean, they'll do that up until, even the elementary kids would follow that. So you just want to, again, use your whole body, use a song. You can do a clap match. Mm-hmm. So, and then they would
we still use
follow
that,
and then you can change it up. And then as it gets quieter and quieter, you would just maybe roll. You can even do everybody do this, do this, do this. Everybody do this just like me. And then you can just mouth it so that they're
if you can
quiet.
hear me, touch your nose.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely. And then that will even, the kids have to transition up the hallway to the clubhouse here. So if it was a transition where they're leaving the room, you want to have a lineup chant or a lineup song. You ask all 40 kids to line up at the same time, it can work. But
Yeah.
it might be easier if all of the children wearing sandals, please line up. All of the children wearing sneakers, please line up.
Oh, that's a great
all
idea.
of the children wearing boots, please line up. And before you know it, your 40 kid lineup is ready to go.
Right.
But how do you behave in a hallway? You can put your marshmallow on your feet, quiet feet in the hallway, marshmallow in your mouth. Voices are off. When you have children who are talking or playing on the carpet when you're trying to teach a lesson, when my voice is on, yours is
Yeah.
off. Yeah, so little tiny tips and tricks. For the most part, children will follow an established routine within just a matter of weeks.
And routine really is huge.
It's consistency. Time and time again, if you establish something, you can't then go back and say, we're not going to do that anymore. It's going to completely throw off your students because they're expecting and they feel safe in that expectation. And then you've gone in and just demolished it.
Well, and it's back to the time thing because they're going, okay, we did song, now we're doing story, after that is snack, and then the bubbles, and then mom's here.
And then mom's here. That is exactly right. So they know their time schedule by what's happening, their activities. And so, for example, downstairs, after they do cleanup, they don't go to tables, they don't go to a rug, they line up ready to transition into the next room on Sundays.
Right.
Those children know exactly what to do and when to do it. And it's done because they do the exact same thing every single Sunday.
Right.
And
So
they're
it
3
really
years old.
becomes a security thing for them
Absolutely.
too, doesn't it?
Yeah. And they feel empowered. And that's what you want children to feel secure, and you want them to be lifelong learners. And how do they do that? They do it by engaging, by feeling safe, and by knowing the routine. And then when they have that security, then they feel like they can branch out a little bit. So they might not have all the answers, but they sure will know where to find them, and they'll feel secure to ask.
Here's a good question. How do you handle the wiggles? We got wiggly kids.
You have wiggly kids, and that is expected. That's expected for toddlers. It's expected for 3 and 4 year olds. It's expected for 4 and 5 year olds.
Yeah.
I mean, they are wiggly. Their bodies are meant to move. So you have to give them the opportunity. You can, luckily here, there's those doors on both ends of the hallway that close. Mm-hmm. Set up an obstacle course. Have them run back and forth. For the children who really need it, that would be a good idea. I personally love whole group movement exercises. You can get beanbag boogie. You can put an exercise video on. You can do a freeze dance. Those are perfect to do prior to sitting down to a lesson if there's no music involved in your lesson. So downstairs in the preschool here, on Sunday school, the church provides the Ollie videos with 2 music and movement songs. Perfect. They are praising Jesus and they're moving, doing it.
Right.
And then it gets their wiggles out to listen to the Ollie video, which is also very short. You're being very respectful of the fact that they have short attention spans. So don't expect a 4 and 5 year old to sit for a 10-minute Bible lesson. They can,
Right.
and they can sit for that long, but they're not going to do it maybe in the way that you want them to. So give them options.
So your lesson has to follow their learning styles and their...
Absolutely. And it's just another way that you're saying, I know what you need, without directly saying, okay, you're a child, so you need to get your wiggles out.
Right.
You know, in the way that you're lesson planning, that you are providing what a child needs to succeed. So it's going to make your day. I mean, that's effective teaching.
Right.
Yeah.
And so while you're planning your lesson, that needs to be part of the thing that you're planning
Music and movement, absolutely. And if you don't have, you only have, on Sunday school, you only have the children for an hour.
Right.
So I think the 2 music videos that come with the Ollie video are perfect. You can incorporate, if you happen to have an extra 10 minutes, incorporate rhythm sticks. You can incorporate shaker eggs. You can incorporate beanbags, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, things like that to get, if they're super wiggly. You can do just, give me 10 jumps. You can do 10 toe touches. You can do 10 and have them count with you. There are so many movement options. You can march around the classroom, and so long as it's done in a way where they're following the leader,
Right.
kind of thing. Yeah. And you've kept their attention. Yeah.
Now, what do you do when you have a truly unruly kid that they're just refusing? They've whatever today. I'm having a bad day. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to hit somebody else. I'm going to they're really being
And they're
out of control.
Their emotions are usually a symptom of something. Their morning went wrong before they even got there, right?
Right.
So you can do a little dig and see what's going on. You can talk to them. You can reach them. I would suggest taking them to a quiet space. And again, if you've made that connection and you know what they like, what they're into, what they gravitate towards every Sunday, then I would start there. Maybe that would have them open up a little bit more. If your facility has a quiet corner, maybe giving them 5 minutes. You have to establish what the calming corner is, what the rules of the calming corner are. Give them a few minutes just to be on their own with maybe a pop-it toy, a squishy, something they can hold on to. Maybe they just need some time for cuddles and hugs. Or maybe they just don't want to be there, in which case if they are not going to have the right, it's more than attitude or mindset, it's if they are going to keep others from learning with their behavior, then maybe they need to leave the room and go on a little, this building is enormous, go on a little walk with a teacher. If there are enough volunteers, take a walk up and down the stairs, let them breathe a little bit, have them calm down and have them reset.
Sure.
And so that they can focus on what's being taught. Would have to be pretty significant to have to call their parents, where there's actually a thing like biting or hitting, then that would be, you need to call your parents.
Protect the other children.
Absolutely. But if it's just a matter of, they've come in kind of crabby, they're sad, you want to have those connections established. And even if they're not, and it's a new child and they're just afraid, comfort them and love on them. Yeah. It is okay to hug a child if they're receptive to that.
Right.
Otherwise, pull out some of your things that you keep maybe in a cabinet, like magnet dolls or a special stuffed animal, maybe some fidget toys, something that would work in that case. Sometimes just having some cuddles on a lap with a quiet little book works wonders. And just getting on their level and letting them know that you care, but it's not okay to be disruptive or to hurt others or to yell or scream. But let's tell you what you can do. Here's what you can do, and then go through that process.
I really like the idea that, hey, there's something already causing this. It's not, they didn't just decide to come in here and tear the world apart. There's something behind this, and maybe they just need to have the moment to process that.
Yeah, and think about, honestly, as an adult, when I'm afraid, I tend to get angry because I can't control my fear. You don't know where the child's frame of mind is, and children just need some time, a little bit of coaxing, a little bit of understanding, compassion, really. And it's, and again, if you have the sufficient volunteers, maybe you can, again, say, why don't we go get a drink of water in the next room where it's calm and quiet, and then you can even hold them at the door and say, which of those activities looks good to you? What should we try first? And then bring them back in so that they know exactly, I have a goal in mind. I'm going to go right to the Play-Doh, or I'm going to go right to the blocks.
And this all builds rapport with them. It all builds that relationship with them. And that leads into my next question, was, concrete ways to demonstrate God's love to the kids. And that is really a concrete way, is listening to them.
And modeling the behavior. If you don't want children to sit on the table, you're not going to have your volunteers sit on the table.
Right.
They're perfect height for sitting. I mean, those preschool tables are like, any adult can just sit on there, and they can handle the weight of an adult. But then what are you modeling? That it's okay to sit on tables. Right? So we keep our feet on the floor, we sit in chairs, and then your students will follow your behavior. You're modeling that. So the same goes for indoor voice. If Timmy's misbehaving in a corner, you're not going to stand at the other side of the room and say, Timmy, stop.
Right.
You're yelling then. You're raising your voice. Take the 10 seconds it takes to walk over to Timmy, put your hand on his shoulder. Timmy, please keep the blocks on the floor.
Yeah.
Calm. You've even changed your voice to make it deeper so Timmy knows you mean business. And he knows that you're taking the time to come over and say, hey, I'm keeping my eyes on you. I see you.
Right.
Because what you don't want to do is ignore a behavior, especially a negative behavior. So they're just going to say,
it's not going to go away.
I can get away with it.
Yeah,
right. And then they're going to
exactly.
come back in the next Sunday and they're going to keep throwing those blocks.
Oh, and the other kids see them getting away
with it.
And
Absolutely.
they decide that they
It's
can
okay.
get away with
Right.
it. It must be okay. This is an approved behavior now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What makes a really good learning environment for the kids? What are the essential things that we have to have for a good learning environment, something that's going to be supporting our goals for the classroom?
Okay, this is one of my favorites.
Okay.
So I have it here, I call it the Trinity. So you have a strong curriculum, right? So in which case here, it's for Sunday school, it's the Ollie videos.
Right.
And it's not just the Ollie video, but it comes with all of its curriculum. And I believe it's called Orange.
We use Orange curriculum.
Yeah,
here.
it's...
That is not a plug. We're not...
Sorry.
We're not supported by Orange or anything, but we do use Orange, and we love it. We love it in the older grades, and we love it in the younger grades.
Right. Because, I mean, everything that you put out supports your Bible story.
Right.
So the coloring pages, the crafts, the games, it all supports what you're teaching them. And you're giving them so many options. You're giving the volunteers options. Like, you don't have to do all of the things, but they have enough that they can pick and choose what they want to do. So you have a strong curriculum.
Right.
You have skilled teachers who know how to teach that age group. And you have your structured environment where when you walk in, you know, oh, I'm in a 3-4 classroom. I'm in a preschool classroom.
Right.
Everything is at their level. So you would never put, like, for example, your Bible stories up above the windows or up by the door frame. Your students will be like this. You want everything to be visual. Also, they can't read at 3, 4, 5. So you want the pictures to be visual cues. Your routine is there. The posters are at their level where they can see and point and touch them. Everything that they need is accessible, and they know where to get it. So that type of environment helps them feel safe and secure and lets them know that that's their place. They belong there. And that's what you want. So that makes for a very, when I walk in there, I would say, oh, this is a safe environment for my student. I know that my child has everything they need when they're here. So, and that's what you want parents to feel safe in, that where they're dropping their children off, that they're getting, not only are they getting the Bible curriculum or the classroom curriculum, but they're also getting teachers that are loving in a safe environment with the tools that they need to succeed.
And the number one thing that people are looking for, that families are looking for, is are my kids going to be well taken care of? Are they going to be safe while I'm in the service? Are they going to be well taken care of and loved? And will it be a good experience for them? And if you don't have that, they're going to go someplace where they can get it.
And they'll know that because the children will be saying, I don't want to go home, or I can't wait to go back.
Right.
The children will let the parents know.
One of my philosophies is that your program needs to be a marquee event or program where the kids are going, I want to go to church. Let's, come on. We don't want to miss. I got to be there because, this is going on this week or something. If we can do that, if we can establish a thing where even kids as young as 3 and 4 are excited to go to church, that's going to encourage the parents to be there on a regular basis, and that's something we really need to be able to encourage our parents to do, is not skip Sunday. Well, because when they do, then their kids miss out on stuff.
Well, there's that consistency again.
Consistency,
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the more that the children have to look forward to, like, for example, when you before the children leave for the day. When you say, next Sunday, we're going to be doing, and then have a sample
Right.
of what you're showing them, that'll get them excited. I mean, a week's a long time for a child, but you can get them excited about what's coming up. Have a sample about what they're going to do or what they're going to have. Like, I know the children know exactly what to expect for snack here. They know they're either going to get the goldfishies, the popcorn, or the fruit snacks.
Right.
And they look forward to that all the time when John makes that popcorn. I mean, it's a highlight.
Oh, popcorn
you know?
week up here is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, the whole church can smell it.
Yeah. It's
It's
awesome.
really great.
It's really wonderful.
But consistency is key to a child's success. I mean, as you know, I mean, they're going to fall behind if they miss too many school days.
Right.
It's the same for preschool. It's the same for kindergarten. It doesn't matter what their age level is. And you say, oh, well, they're just, preschool isn't real school. It's,
Right.
And I'm like, it always just, it really gets under my skin. But we're setting children up to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
We're establishing those routines early so that when they get to kindergarten and when they get to first grade, they know how to be self-managers.
Right.
And they are so brilliant. They are so much more capable of what we think a toddler or 3-year-old can accomplish. They're just brilliant little humans, and we need to give them more opportunities to be independent. And they can do that when they've had things modeled for them. They soak in everything. They are watching everything you do. I mean, how many times have you seen a child pretend to be grandpa or grandma or mom cooking in the PlayStation? They in the little kitchen area, they know what to do. And if you listen to their words, if you just take a moment to just sit and observe and listen and not play with them really, but just really listen, it's quite fascinating.
They're little mirrors.
They really are.
They really can reflect what they've heard.
They can.
So,
And
to the good and
they
bad.
are capable of so much growth and independence. They might not put their shoes on the right foot, but they can surely put their shoes on their feet.
Right.
They can get dressed. It might be backwards, but they can pull up their own clothes and they can get their shirt over their head. They might need help with the zipper, but the 3 and 4-year-olds should be putting on their coats.
And that's an age when they really want to be doing that
They
themselves.
want to be doing it.
They want to do it
Absolutely.
myself.
Yeah.
I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
My daughter used to say, myself, I do it myself.
But what do the parents do? They want to get out the door 20 seconds
Right.
faster. So the parents are like, let me just do it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe set your clock so that you have an extra 10 minutes so that your child can do it themselves.
Right.
I mean, they get in those car seats and they're already buckling themselves up. I mean,
And that kind of goes to transitions.
yeah.
My youngest daughter absolutely needed to be warned. This is coming up in 5 minutes. We're leaving in 2 minutes. It's time to go, And before we learned that technique of giving her advance warning and middle warning and then, okay, it's time, she would, at 2 or 3 years old, she was just freaking out because you've just changed my whole life, and without any warning. And then with those warnings, life got a lot easier.
Yep. They have to know what to expect. That's part of their autonomy, right? Like they need to know, they need to have some control because children have very little control in what happens in their day. They don't
Right.
choose their school. They don't choose their teachers. They don't choose half the time what they put on or what's served for dinner.
Right.
I mean, some parents do ask. My parents never asked me in the entirety of my childhood what I wanted for dinner, let me tell you. And I never once ate a chicken nugget until I was old enough to go to the drive-thru by myself. It was, this is your dinner. This is what's served. And when a child has too many options also, that's overwhelming. It's this or that. Would you like this or that?
Right.
And another great time management or classroom management tool that I use, and this is a very respectful management tool for the classroom, is the time timer. It's the countdown timer. So I've used this for years, and I believe it was at Mill Creek Foursquare when I was first introduced to it many years ago. So at the carpet, I'll say, in just a moment, children, we're going to start free choice play.
Right.
And you get to choose the block, center, the sensory bins, or the table. You get 3 options for free choice, because that's where the children get to choose what center they're going to.
Right.
And they can choose to leave that, at least in my center they can choose to move there, but they're going to start at that center.
Right.
And then I tell them how much time they have. And so we'll count. You have 5, 10, 15 minutes.
I like the big red visual, the display on that. That's really cool.
It's really great. And it comes in blue too, in case anybody cares. And so what the children can see is that they have 15 minutes on the timer. And as the time goes down, they can look at this and say, oh, they know this number.
Right.
We have 10 minutes left. And it helps them gain reality of what an actual 5 minutes is. How many times do their mom say, oh, 5 more minutes, honey, 5 more
Right.
minutes, and it ends up being half an hour.
Yeah.
So this is a great tool. It also helps them make their own, be responsible for their own time and things that they choose to get out. So when the timer comes down to here and they're done with Play-Doh, but they really want to start blocks, they know they have less than 5 minutes to build their tower, put it away, knock it down, clean it up. And when it beeps, they know exactly what to do. I don't have to do a cleanup song. I don't have to say, oh, children, it's time to clean up.
Right.
They know what to do, what the expectation is, because we use this day one. When it beeps, it's loud enough that the whole classroom can hear it, and they know what to do. So immediately, everything starts getting put away. I sit in my chair, and as it gets to just a few more pieces that need to be put away, I'll say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time my hands are in my lap, everyone is sitting in their square. So
I saw this in action
Yeah.
when I was filming in your classroom, and it was beautiful. And I couldn't believe how well it worked. I'd never seen that technique before, and I really love it.
And I think you were there I think that was the day of, was it preschool 3 and 4-year-olds, or was it the 4 and 5-year-olds? I can't remember.
Both. We
So
did
both classes
Yeah.
learn this technique. And I think what's great about it is that the children are responsible for their choices. Mm-hmm. They're responsible for everything that they touch, and putting everything, so then they know that beep goes off, I'm putting it away myself. My teacher doesn't have to come over and
Right.
tell me. If it was a joint activity where 2 children are building a tower, then they're both putting those things away. And then they know exactly what to do next. So there's confidence in that, right?
Well, and I love that they're being taught it's your job to put it away. It's not my job. It's
Right.
not the teacher's job. It's your job.
Right.
And
And
how
I-
many times have teachers have been,
Yeah.
we're staying after church and getting everything cleaned up again. And really, we should have had the kids do
Right,
that.
right. Because I tell them, oh, Timmy, you played with those blocks. Do your blocks have legs? Can they walk over to the bin? No, Mrs. Maxwell, they can't walk over to the bin.
Right.
Well, how is that block going to get back in the bin? You have feet, Timmy. And it's like,
Oh.
Timmy played with that block, so Timmy needs to put it inside the bin. And I'm very patient. I can wait for a long time because Timmy knows that the next step isn't going to happen until that block gets put in the bin, and it is okay to wait. I tell the child, I can't tell you the amount of times that I say, it's okay to wait. It's okay. It's okay to be patient. Patience is waiting without getting upset. It's okay to wait. I can wait.
Yep. Several times today, you've said it's all about modeling.
Yeah.
And it really, really is.
It really is. They are
that goes,
little
but-
observers.
They are.
They are. If you put your feet on the table, what is your grandchild going to do? She's going to put her feet on the table.
Yep.
I mean, they know that then, oh, if grandpa does it, I can do it.
It's okay.
It's
Must
okay.
be okay.
It must be okay.
Yeah.
So you model the behavior that you want to see.
So we're going to pause for a moment, and we're going to plug the Facebook group. It's the Kid Men Tackle Box Facebook group, and there's a link here showing on the screen. If you aren't part of that, please come and join. You do have to ask to join, but hey, we're going to say yes. So if you are part of children's ministry in any role, this is for you. It's how we support you in addition to the podcast. It's on Facebook. And we would love to have you part of that and love to support you as you are working with kids. So we're at our final moments here. What are 3 tips that you would like to really just reiterate or bring out?
I think a big one would be when a child, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say misbehaves. When a child misbehaves, just know that their actions have nothing to do with you personally. It is, like I said, emotions are symptoms of something that's happened. So try to establish a narrative. Try to make that connection. Don't take it personally.
Right.
That doesn't make them a bad child. They just made a wrong choice because maybe you didn't set up your classroom effectively. Maybe, if you have balls out, if they were left behind from another teacher and those balls are out and you didn't scan your classroom to see, oh, I didn't put those balls away, that's not the child's fault that they threw a ball. Balls are for throwing. You know, if you're going to get mad at someone,
balls are for kicking. Balls are for,
right. So scan your classrooms when you come in, especially if it's a shared space. Make sure things are safe and put away. It's your responsibility as a teacher, first and foremost, to make sure that your children are safe. That is, they trust you and they are safe. And so scan your classroom every morning. Make sure there's nothing sharp or beads on the floor or anything that could be a hazard. Check for broken toys. Those pieces can be, you can also have a volunteer scan the toy boxes. Little tiny pieces come apart all the time.
Sure.
Go through those. For preschool in general, my biggest pet peeve when I walk into any classroom, and I've walked into so many classrooms, stop putting your alphabet so high, teachers. Stop. Is that my camera? Stop putting your alphabet so high. Your 5-year-old's eye level is here. Unless you want them to be looking like this at the alphabet or the numbers or the, they need to be
That's true,
low.
you're right. The classroom alphabet's always in the corner at the top.
It's always at the top by the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless you're 7 feet tall, you're not gonna, and you want, again, children, you want them to learn with their whole body, right? They're not gonna go, touch an alphabet that's that high. If they're trying to match their capital and their lowercase, they need to be able to go see what that difference is, and make your classroom appeal to the age that you are teaching.
Right.
So if they're 3 and 4, give them sensory bins, give them tactile accessibility, let them build and move, and give them imaginary play. You're not going to put those things in the 3rd grade classroom. They don't, they're beyond that. They want, different things. And I don't teach 3rd grade, so I can't say what they need. But also, can I just say one thing? Don't assume that your students know how to behave. We assume children know how to sit properly on a carpet. Give them options for sitting. It used to be crisscross applesauce. I used to do crisscross applesauce. Give a little clap. Crisscross applesauce. Fold them in your lap. Crisscross applesauce. Quiet as can be. Crisscross applesauce. Eyes on me. But now they're saying it's very difficult for children to sit crisscross applesauce. And so give them options, especially those children with long legs, and especially in the rainy season when they're wearing those bulky rain boots. Give them sitting options. So sit like a mermaid, sit like a mountain with your knees up, sit with your legs like a log, sit crisscross applesauce. So find your comfortable spot, and then that's how you're sitting. Yeah, so again, you have to give them choices because sometimes kids can't physically sit crisscross applesauce. But what I tell them, I said, you can sit this way or that way, but you may not W sit, which is when their legs are, I can't do it. I don't know if I could ever sit that way, but it's when their legs make a W and their feet are out by their hips.
Oh, okay.
Which is
is
actually very bad for their hips. So, and they're very bendy. And so what it does, it gives them a kind of a distorted sense of equilibrium. So they feel secure in that.
Right.
But because it gives them more of a base, but
it's also
hurting their hip development. So, so I say everything but W's. No W sitting. So,
I just noticed I had the last thing here was story time.
Yes, it's my
Let's
favorite
talk about story time.
circle time, story time. It's my favorite time of day. So I think it's every teacher's favorite.
It is
I
mine.
love it.
It is mine. I love story time.
Yeah. So
With fourth and fifth
yeah.
graders, I love that time.
So have your attention grabbers. It's best to get their wiggles out. So either an exercise prior to, free choice play prior to, have them have some sense of, I've gotten a chance to make my choices. I've gotten a chance to get my wiggles out. You might even do a couple of head, shoulders, knees, and toes, something to establish that, okay, our wiggles are out and now we're going to have a seat. And sometimes if someone's super wiggly, I'll say, oh, time to turn your sillies off. And it's story time.
I like that.
And then keep it short. So if you've got 3-year-olds, know that your attention span is
Right.
very short. You can even do a where is Thumbkin once they're seated, some kind of felt play, which is my favorite. I love felt boards. I don't know if that makes me seem really, really old. I use felt boards every single
flannel graph.
day. The flannel boards, I love them. I will use them until the day I retire. I
Yep.
love them so much, and I use them several times a day. They're great attention grabbers.
Sure.
The 5 fat salt, and I make a lot of them my own, just so you know. I'm very crafty. So circle time. They have to know what the circle time expectation is, right? And so it has to stay consistent every time. So it's a full group. Everyone's at the carpet at the same time. Hopefully you have a rug that, or sit spots like are on the carpet here, something that says, this is my space. This is
Right.
where I'm supposed to be. Without those tricky little tools, they're going to be kind of all over the place. The goal is to keep their hands on their own body. So hands in your lap, and this is what I always say, if your hands are out, they're going to get stepped on.
Right.
Children don't look at where they're walking.
Nope.
Half the time they're not even looking in the same direction they're going. So
Right.
if your hands are on the floor, they're going to get stepped on. So keep your hands on your body. Keep your hands in your lap. And I tell them when we get there, we're going to do calendar, story, and calendar, story, and weather. Tell me what we're going to do, and they'll repeat calendar, story, weather, or whatever the order is. That's
Right.
not the order, but whatever I make the order. And it's usually 3 or 4 things, and the story circle is usually maybe about 10, I want to say about 10 minutes, which is on the longer end. We build up to that.
Right.
And sometimes by the end of pre-K, it can be 15 minutes. It just depends on what your students can handle. If it's not working, you cut one of those things out.
Yep.
You have to really listen to what your students are putting out there. If they are super wiggly one day, then you're going to break up your story with maybe 3
Well, I've always
actions.
felt like preschool and pre-kindergarten was about helping them learn to sit for 10 minutes and without disintegrating. And so,
Right. And they can. Children can do that, but it's a really unrealistic expectation to expect them to sit for 10 minutes in September.
right.
You have to build up to that. So, and they can totally do it, because when they get to kindergarten, the expectation, and the kindergarten teachers will not start out at 10 minutes or 20 minutes. They might get to 20 minutes, but they're going to start out slow. And it's about respecting your classroom. Like I always tell them, this is our classroom family. So we treat each other with respect. We respect God's word. We respect each other. We respect our teacher. But what does that mean? What does it look like? So when you care about someone, you care about their feelings.
Right.
So when you hurt their feelings, you would say, I'm sorry, Brett, that I knocked down your tower. Can I help you rebuild it? And I promise I won't knock down your tower again, because I know that hurt your feelings. Well, it's a lot of words for a 3-year-old.
Exactly.
But you can show them, oh, look at Brett's face. He's very sad, isn't he? Why do you think he's sad? Because I knocked down his tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
You knocked down his he worked really hard on that tower. And so you want to take a minute and explain why it wasn't a right choice and how to make it right. You make it right by asking Brett if he needs help building his tower. You might not want help building your
Right.
tower, but it was offered.
Well, it helps them empathize with what he's feeling
Right.
because of what they did.
Right. And gives him a
Yeah.
chance to make it right again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you don't want to apologize to someone, make it right, and then do it again. So
Right.
you've got to say, hey, I'm sorry. I will do my best to not do that again. And then they can trust that you're not going to hurt them again.
Right.
They can trust that, hopefully that you won't go back and kick their tower down.
Helps to restore the relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I think we are about out of time. And so I want to thank you for being here today. We've had such a great conversation. We've learned a lot of stuff. One of the things, the big takeaway that I have here is consistency. It really is important to be consistent and to build relationship with the kids that they can trust you and they can. So thank you very much, Martha.
Oh, you're very welcome. Anytime.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you for viewing, for watching. I hope you've gotten something out of this that you can use in your classroom. If you have, please like the video, subscribe. We're building. We've right now, at the time of this recording, got 16 subscribers. Let's hit 20 or 50. Let's go to 100. So please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. It helps us to do what we're doing here. And it tells us that what we're doing is important to you. Also, if you have tricks and tips that you would like to share, put them in the comments. And we'd love to do that. Visit us at the Facebook page or Facebook group, Kidmin Tackle Box Facebook. And we will see you again next time. Thanks very much, everybody. Goodbye.